ऐश्वर्यप्रसक्तानां तयापहृतचेतसां व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः समाधौ न विधीयते. Literal meaning says, in the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and you are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. Yes, sister, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Sister Shalini. Okay, let us now look at what the verse is. What is the message given by this verse? The verse actually describes how religious practices and rituals have lost their sanctity at present. In fact, this was told by Sage Vyasa when he wrote the Bhagavad Gita, which was how many thousands of years ago. And this verse was introduced at that time. So Sage Vyasa was the author of Bhagavad Gita, and he introduced this verse to deplore man's ignorance towards ritualism. And he said that rituals were performed for their own selfish ends. The Karmakanda portion of the Vedas was actually, it means the Karmakanda portion is the one that includes all the ritualistic practices. So we follow rituals. Why? In order to purify the minds of everyone and prepare them for the ultimate stage of meditation and realization, which is the purpose of our life, to become one with the Supreme. So the rituals were actually written or come up or devised in the Karmakanda to help us finally attain realization. But then we notice it has gone off track. Now, what is happening from those days itself, even right now, I think if we look back, we can just notice these practices, which were meant to be the means to God realization. But now these practices, which were given in the Karma Kanda, have become an end in itself. Okay? Why? So they were the means, they were the path to achieve the goal. But now they have become the end in itself. For us, when we perform ritualistic practices, we consider it, we meaning in general, people in general, consider it as an end in itself. Rituals are performed with a materialistic, selfish purpose. Okay, this is told by this explanation based on the verse that's given by Lord Krishna. So the explanation is, people perform rituals. Why? For materialistic, selfish purposes. Rituals are performed in order to satisfy one's own worldly desires. So people were misguided in their practice of religion, and they did not really attempt to reach the supreme state of God consciousness through these rituals. The Shastras actually, see, that is the meaning of, see, if you look at the words here, see, in the minds of those who are attached to sense enjoyment and materialistic opulence, the two words here. So, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination of devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. So you are caught up with sense enjoyment and for materialistic benefits, and you are attached to such things. Then the determination of such devotional services which you are conducting to reach the Supreme Lord is not there. Okay, you are deviating away from the main aim. So, okay, so what the Shastras actually says is, religious practices should not be done for any particular purpose. We should not do it for the purpose of gaining wealth, for pleasure, for power, to end our worries, or to gain more knowledge, etc. All these sadhanas, the purposes that we are doing, should be for attaining the ultimate goal of self-realization. They are just steps in the ladder to the final goal of self-realization. So each one is a step, each sadhana, each religious practice is a step that ultimately takes you to the final absolute goal of self-realization. But now what is happening? Most people use religious purposes as an end in itself, for pleasure or power, for sensual enjoyment. Okay? So religious purposes, practices such as sadhanas and rituals should be done like, I'll just give an example here. When you perform the sadhanas and rituals, it should be similar to how athletes use a pole in pole vaulting. I'm sure most of you would have seen how the pole vaulter uses the pole. What does the pole vaulter do? He comes running with a pole. He fixes the pole at one point, then heaves himself up. He lifts himself up and up on the pole, and then he discards the pole and jumps over. And it becomes a successful jump. Now, can you jump the height with the pole? No. Nobody can cross the height or cross the bar without the pole, and nobody can cross the bar with the pole. That's the most important point. See, the athlete, you can visualize him coming with the pole, jumping over. To jump over the pole, over the bar, sorry, to jump over the bar, he needs the pole. But he cannot cross the bar with the pole. If you hold on, you'll strike the bar with the pole and you will not make a successful attempt. Similarly, the comparison here is all the sadhanas, all the spiritual practices that we undertake are meant to cross over from mundane existence, from our terrestrial existence to spiritual realization. Without the practices, we can't get there. We can't go from terrestrial to transcendental. However, what people are doing is they're using these practices for sense enjoyment and pleasure. Let us just look at one or two examples in life. Look at the festival of Deepavali. What is it synonymous with right now? In Malaysia also, it's a main festival of Deepavali. How do we celebrate it? What is it synonymous with? It's synonymous with all the fireworks, all the food, the fun, okay, going shopping, buying, and so on. So the focus is on the external, okay? But what is actually the significance of the Deepavali? It is actually, we celebrate or we have Deepavali to tell us to destroy our dark thoughts, our negative thoughts and desires, and gain strength to lead a good life. So Deepavali actually signifies, what does it signify, sister? Anybody? From your understanding, what is the purpose, what is the significance of Deepavali?
I will tell something. The Deepavali, on that Naraka Chaturdashi, fourth day, Chaturdashi, 14th day. The one on that same day, right? He killed the Narakasura. That is one thing, right? The same day he killed now. And second thing, one is another event you are mapping to that event is that the Rama killed Ravana and came back to Ayodhya. On that day, they light up the lamps from the from his Ayodhya, from end to their entrance, until the entrance. They put all the lamp. So that's a Deepavali is the line of the lamps, right?
It's a festival of lights. Yes.
But
thank you.
Actually, I just want to add one more thing.
Yeah,
the
please.
light we are the lamp we are lighting, because we have to chase away the what you said is the negative one, right? Also when you light up the lamp, you get the light to see the way or path, whatever, the real path. That gives you the real path. That's the real correct path you can see. Without light, you cannot really see the path. Correct?
Yes, brother. Thank you. You explained it so beautifully. So the festival, as brother was telling to us, it actually shows the triumph of goodness over evil. Like how Krishna destroyed the demon Narakasura and Rama defeated Ravana. And so it is a celebration to show good over evil. And the light actually signifies, as brother said, the light within. It tells us to go within and see the light within, see the good path within. So it is actually telling us to take to the knowledge, the wisdom within to overcome ignorance. But do we really remember all this when we are practicing, celebrating the festival? Do we remember the teachings of the festival? We are all caught up in the fun and the excitement and all the pleasure and all that associated with the festival. And again, going on to other examples, when people go to temples, churches, or mosques, what do they pray? Most of the time, we find that people go to the temple, do pujas, do so many things, make offerings of annadanam, everything. Mainly, or I won't say everybody, but we have in our mind some personal gains. Okay, we want to gain some material benefits. It can be, maybe in the form of money, or it can be prosperity in business, or it could be something to do with your children to pass their exams, or to find a good match for your daughter, to get your son married, or to get an increase, or to get a promotion in your job, more name, more power. So many a time, all these practices are the reason that people go and make all these practices or sadhanas in the temples and places of worship. Okay, and do it. So what it is, the verse is telling is, when we do something, or when we must go to the temple. Why? Just for worshipping God. It is only to connect to the divinity that we see there. Okay, we should not go there thinking of gaining something out of the spiritual practices. But unfortunately, people get attached to it. They get attached to all this paraphernalia of all these outside extroverted practices and connect that to spirituality. And they are hanging on to these practices. But when we get attached to these practices, what happens is you cannot go over from the mundane to the transcendental. So the advice here is, ultimately, just like in the example of the pole vaulter, ultimately we must reach a point where we have to let go of these practices, like the pole vaulter. He let go of the pole to cross over the bar. So similarly, to cross over this ocean of worldly existence, okay, we have to use our sadhanas. And finally, you reach a point when you have to leave all these practices behind. At the right time, you have to let it go. And one example, beautiful example to remind you of this, I think you would have heard about this, in the case of Ramakrishna, Swami Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, how his Guru Totacharya came and broke the idol of Kali he was praying to. He was praying, and at that moment he gained moksha. He was so attached to the idol of Kali, he could not go beyond it. He could not get moksha and go beyond it. So what is Guru did is, Guru Totacharya, he came and smashed the idol of Kali. And at that particular moment, okay, his attachment was overcome. So,
that is the Totakastam, is it? Totakastam, the one?
Pardon?
The Totakastam is the Shankaracharya's Shishya, the one Totakacharya, correct?
No, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's Guru was Totacharya.
It means Totakacharya's Guru is Shankaracharya.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, brother.
I think that is they come with the Totakastakam, something. Astakam is in his name, right? That is that one?
That I don't know. But brother, you know the story, isn't it? How Lord Swami Ramakrishna was attached to the image of Kali and he could not let go of it. And finally...
No, I know that he used to talk to Kali in the night, in the 12 o'clock midnight.
Yes. He used to talk to Kali and perform all the pujas for her.
He closed the door of the temple and sit inside. He talked to God. And God was, she comes and listen to him.
He sees the image of Kali, but it is said that he does not become one with the ultimate, the divinity. There's still a barrier. He's seeing the form of Kali. He's not merging with it. Yeah.
Correct.
So he's not getting enlightenment. Okay. Yes, he's connected, but he's reached a point and he's stuck there. So the final one, how to get, yeah.
Okay.
I think, brother, there's also the story of Ekalavya, isn't it? Ekalavya.
Ekalavya is to Dronacharya one, right?
Dronacharya, Guru Dronacharya.
Correct.
So yes. Ekalavya wants to, he studied without the knowledge of the Guru, and finally he was such a good in archer, And then
because actually he was not a Brahma, he was not in Kshatriya. Okay, that's why Drona don't want to teach him, and because he is not a Kshatriya. That's what. So he was a Brahmana. Then he wanted to learn, because even though he's become Brahmana, he wanted to learn the archery.
Yes.
Then Dronacharya, without he was very smarter than Karna and Arjuna also. He was very smart.
Correct.
That's what he learned without training from the Dronacharya. Then,
Dronacharya.
Then he understood that this guy is dangerous for tomorrow. So he told him, why you did not ask my permission to learn without my knowledge? You learned. You give me Guru Dakshina to me. So then he said, okay, what you want Guru Dakshina? I can give, ready to give you. And he tells that you give me your right thumb. Thumb.
Yes.
So that he should not use that archery. The skills. He should not have that skills going further.
Yes, but then the story goes also that he gets moksha, isn't it? The Guru gives him moksha. Yes, because he had this attachment to archery. Now, without the thumb, he had lost that attachment, his skill to archery. So, and finally, it says that he attains the supreme state. Okay, that's what I know. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, so these are all the examples. So it says that now when we engage in spiritual practices, thank you so much, brother, for the clear explanation. Yeah. When we engage in spiritual practices, we should not expect a return. Okay, we should not make it an end in itself. They should only be the means. The practices should only be the means to reach the other side. Okay, so what if not, you will not be able to progress in your ultimate goal. So a karma yogi, whatever he does, he dedicates his actions to a higher ideal in life. So whatever sadhanas, whatever you're doing, you're going to temple, you're worshipping, all the sadhanas, you are having a higher ideal in life. No personal selfish interest in doing it. And the person works without, a karma yogi, he works without any ego and selfish desires, and his only aim is in purifying himself to get rid of his worldly desires. And the intellect, which we talked about, the intellect guides a disciplined mind. His mind becomes disciplined under the guidance of the intellect, which is not caught up with the external world, and he's able to concentrate and meditate and attain samadhi, or the supreme state of desirelessness state, it is called, okay, or thoughtlessness, or God consciousness. So that is the sum and substance, but the message of this verse. So in the minds of those who are attached to sense enjoyment. So if you're attached to sense enjoyment and materialistic opulence, materialistic pleasures, and you're attached, bewildered by such things, you're caught up with such things, then you do not have the resolute determination. You are not focused in your determination to serve the Supreme Lord. It does not take place. Okay, so that's the meaning.